Have you ever wondered if you were a character living in a fantasy world, what kind of clothes would you wear? Would it be roguish and worn, or noble and fancy? Now what if you were living as that character for an entire week? What would your outfits look like day to day compared to when you were going to a formal ceremony? Or preparing to charge the battlefield? Well, recently I got the chance to do just that, because I have just gone back from my travels to Picoline, specifically the Grand Bataille, which is the largest medieval roleplay event in North America, where you and 5,000 other people will spend a week living and dressing as if you were in medieval times. I often get questions from y'all asking for advice for LARPing and Renfair costuming, so I thought it'd be fun to go through what I bought, what I packed, and what I actually ended up using at the event. Because there was quite a few items that I used every single day and could not imagine going without, and a few items that I paid good money for and just never touched the entire week. Hi there, I'm Jess, and I am a fellow connoisseur of making stuff with the sole purpose of just making me feel a little bit more whimsical. Whether that be for decorating my home, making something for exploring a Renfair, or if it's for me to use during my LARPs, which is going to be the one that we are mainly focusing on today. If you don't know what LARP is, it stands for live action roleplay, which essentially just means it is a big game of make-believe where a bunch of adults get together, dress up, hit each other with like foam sticks, play politics, you know, a cool hobby. My first LARP was actually when I attended Picoline last year for the first time. It was genuinely one of the most exciting weeks of my life. I immediately fell in love with LARPing and knew that I wanted to do it again. But since that was my first LARP, it definitely meant that my medieval kit wasn't the best. When I was leaving Picoline last year, I was thinking to myself, oh man, I'm going to make so much stuff in the upcoming year. I'm going to improve my kit so much. I'm going to look sick as hell. And then 11 months went by and I didn't make a single gosh darn thing. So instead I went on a little medieval shopping spree. Some of it is from LARP or medieval clothing specific stores, and then also some stuff from thrifting or just everyday clothing items that I thought I could style into my kit. So why don't we just jump in and I can show you exactly what I got in my medieval haul. Also, while I have started to build up a collection, I'm still relatively new to the whole LARP costuming thing. So if you have any tips or advice that you would like to share with me or other people, or maybe just want to do an info dump about your character, this is an open invite to just yap about that down in the comments. And know that I will be reading them because I absolutely love learning about other people's characters. Also, for a little bit of context of like the shot that I have set up so I can actually like show you the entire outfit, it feels very much like I'm in a character creation screen right now. Like y'all remember My Sims Kingdom? I feel like I'm that little sim right now. Also, just as a disclaimer, absolutely nothing here is sponsored. Everything I'm going to show you I bought with my real life adult money. There's only one brand that I have any affiliation with, and that is Berkshire. So if you do want to go and check out their stuff and get like a 10% discount, you can click the link or use my code, which is, I don't know what it is, it's here. And you get a little bit of discount on medieval clothing, and I get a tiny bit of a kickback for sending you their way. It's a win-win in my opinion. I'll also leave links to like all the other stores I mentioned, but I won't get like anything from that. The most financial gain I'm going to get for this is now being able to mark off all those clothes as a business expense, so yay! First things first, starting off with the basics, is this nice pair of pants that I got from VERILLAS? However you pronounce it. They are called tradesman's pants. I believe that these are also called like fisherman pants, but basically they are styled to be a nice puffy flowy pants, meaning that you can either wear them all the way down, or what I like to do a lot is pull them up to like my knee, so you get like a nice little like puffy capri pant. It's also super comfy, breathable, and there's pockets. Though when you actually put anything in them, it does swing around a lot, but you know, pockets are pockets. Next up is the Darcy shirt from French Meadows. I absolutely adore this shirt. Maybe it's just because I like puffy things. Like as soon as I put it on and roll up the sleeves and kind of like tuck in the shirt, I immediately feel so dashing. Again, it's soft, it's breathable, and I want one of these in every single color that they have. Next up is this long vest from HOLYCLOTHING, which by far is one of my favorite pieces. Like I have a few dresses from HOLYCLOTHING, but this one is just so nice because you can just layer it and style it in so many ways. And out of all the clothing items, this is the one that I see like other people wearing the most. It works really well with masculine and feminine looks. Truly, we owe AZURE so much for going to HOLYCLOTHING and convincing them to make the masculine line, because it is top tier. Going back to shirts, I have this nice simple short sleeve blouse. When you tie it, you get nice puffy sleeves. You can adjust the neckline so it's either a little bit higher up or off the shoulder. Now you might already be detecting a pattern of all the colors of the clothing that I'm showing. Basically, I treat my LARP characters as if they were cartoon characters, much in the same way that all the characters from Avatar have to follow the color palette of their element, meaning if they're in a guild, they're dressing in guild colors. And so far in the LARPs I've been to, I've only been in guilds with blue, which is good because that means I can reuse a lot of the items, but also it means I only have blue clothes. Next up is a very nice basic shirt from Berkshire. It's super simple, but I love the shape of the collar and how the sleeves fit, and it's just a really good base for layering other items on top of. Next up is this short cloak that I actually did buy in person while I was at Heinefold. It's from Enchanted and Moth Hollow, and they do have an online store if you would like to check them out. Super simple but super cute, fleece on the outside to keep you warm, but with a silk lining on the inside for comfort. And last is the Bramblewood crop vest from VERILLAS. I don't know if this counts as a gambeson or not, but it definitely does have the same style and feel. Not gonna lie, this one definitely was an impulse purchase because it went on clearance, but in all honesty, I have a lot of trouble styling it. It's like it could be a battle outfit, and also I kind of like leaving it open, and then it kind of feels like a nice formal jacket. If I put on my pirate shirt under it, I definitely feel like a fancy little lad. Should be running around as like a little bard. Now, the next list of items are things that I found not from LARP stores. And the first being is this pair of parachute pants that I found at Walmart. While they don't have the same poofiness as the ones from VERILLAS, you do get like a very similar style for way cheaper, like 20 bucks. Same thing with these green pants I found from Target, maybe a little bit more expensive, like $30. Every time I wear those in videos, I always get comments being like, oh my god, those look so comfortable, and they are. Next up is a simple blue skirt that I actually bought during my Renfair video, which I don't normally wear skirts, but is it giving? Am I serving? What am I serving? But it is nice to have one or two on hand. Also from the Renfair is this leather bodice. Corset? I don't actually know the difference between the two. Definitely one of the items more on the expensive side, but since it's leather, you know that it's going to hold up for a long time. Next up, super simple sandals that I got from Target. My first year at Beakley, I made a mistake of not bringing any good open-toed shoes, and only having boots to wear for an entire week while it's like really hot outside was not fun. So even though these are like simple $20 sandals, probably one of the best things I brought. And anytime I wasn't wearing these, I was wearing these. Like a simple brown ankle boot that I got at a thrift store forever ago that have held up for so long and are comfortable to walk in. I definitely do need to probably invest in some like good official looking LARP shoes, but for now, just these thrifted fashion boots per se do the job just fine. The next item that is also thrifted is just many scarves. Scarves or any other like loose fabric are so good for styling outfits because you can wrap them around your belt, them hanging off, you can use it as a shawl, you can just use it as a scarf, and you can find some really cool designs to add just some texture and pops of color to your outfit. Another thrift find that I was so excited for was this little blue vest. So simple, but so good for layering. I also think it's going to be really good for my Hobbit LARP that I have coming up. But right now we're talking fantasy medieval, not hobbits. And this one isn't really a new buy, but was actually a modification I did make from something from last year. I bought this corset on Amazon, and while I did get some good use out of it last year, I thought it was a bit long and I didn't like the fact that there was a zipper there. So I actually ended up shortening the length, removing the zipper, and dyeing it a slightly darker brown. Now the very last thrifted find was one that actually wasn't meant to go to the LARP, but ended up being one of the things I was most grateful that I brought, and that is just the simple black tank top. The weather ended up being what I would describe as pretty whack. There was quite a few days where it was just so hot. So even though it wasn't medieval, the fact that I had this like really basic top that I could wear that was light and didn't have sleeves, I am so grateful that I just so happened to be wearing that when I went to the airport because I could not imagine not having it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that wraps up my little clothing haul. Now before I get into like all the different outfits, I do think it would be helpful to go over some of the items that I truly think are essential. Not only for styling, but also just for functionality as well. Whether you are spending a week at a LARP or a day at a Renfair, these items are the ones that you want to have. But real quick, while today I'm talking about fantasy and medieval clothing, maybe you have a few design ideas for some more modern clothing, or perhaps merch that you would like to see become a reality. Well, the sponsor of today's video can help you with that. Let me tell you about Printful. As creatives, it's always nice being able to make a little bit of extra cash off of art that we already enjoy making. But that can also be hard because that means that's going to be taking away from, you know, the time we have to actually make stuff. Well, in that case, Printful might just be able to help. Printful is a print-on-demand company, which works like this. You create and upload your own design, pick which products that you would like to sell it on, then connect it to an online store like Shopify or Etsy. Or if you don't have one of those or the many other options that they have, you can actually use their quick store feature, meaning you can get an online shop up and running for free in about like 30 minutes or so, which is kind of crazy. And just like that, your product is ready to be sold to the masses. And the great thing is that there is no upfront cost or guaranteed sales to worry about, because much as the name implies, nothing gets printed until there's a demand, or meaning that you've made your sale. Meaning it is a great way for artists to make passive income, because Printful takes care of the printing, product shipping, and customer service, meaning that you only have to focus on one thing, making good designs. Or maybe you just have an idea for a t-shirt that you want for yourself or for your friends. You could design and order them straight through Printful and actually have it in person. This shirt is actually a Printful one as well. It started out as like a silly design challenge, and I actually genuinely wear it all the time. Everything from Printful's wide catalog, from apparel, home goods, and stationaries, is made with the highest quality of printing and product standards, meaning you can rest easy knowing that your customers will be getting good quality products every single time. If this is something that you've thought about doing, maybe it's been in the back of your mind but just haven't been sure about, signing up to Printful is free, so you can go and play around with their catalog, upload and test some designs with absolutely no commitment. You can use the link down in the description to sign up and start making products today. Thank you once again to Printful for sponsoring this video, which is now time to get back to. Now, the first item on this list is going to be belts. Belts are the center point of a really good medieval outfit. Adding a belt can honestly do so much, from taking your outfit from maybe some everyday clothes to something that's a little bit more fantasy, but it also helps you like shape out your outfit. I picked up this belt at ARTISANS right before the first Beakeline, and I think I have probably worn it every single day with every single outfit, because just having a big thick belt just does so much. Like, even when I went to Beakeline's fantasy ball event, I literally wore this over my dress because I felt like it just needed something a little bit more medieval, and less like 2 prom dresses that I sewed together. But also it is probably one of the most functional parts of your outfit. Adding accessories like skirt hikes, holders, add decorations to it like belt favors, and you can also add what is going to be the next item on the list, pouches. You will want as many pouches as possible, because sometimes your costume just doesn't have pockets, and then you also just have a bunch of stuff on you that you're going to want all the time that you don't want to get lost. This pouch is another item that I picked up from ARTISANS on the first day that I am so grateful for. This is where I keep all my credit cards, my cash, and then also like my meal cards, just anything that's like real life that I know that I'm going to need during the game. Having them nice, secure in a pouch that I always have access to is so important. Meanwhile, the other pouch is where I keep all my solar, which is like the in-game currency. And going along with pouches is having a nice bag. This is like a super simple medieval messenger bag that I got from Berkshire. That is another one of those items that I pretty much wear with everything. It's so good for just like putting away my lantern, quest items that people give me, holding trinkets, my timepiece. It's so simple, it's functional, it adds to the outfit. Just top tier. Next up is tankards and canteens. It is very much in the culture of LARPs and Renfairs to have a drinking container on you. That way you can constantly be filling up with water during the day, or if you go to the tavern, you can get it filled up. Also, tankards are just really nice accessories to hang from your belts and make you immediately, again, feel more medieval and in character. And then it's also a good idea to have a canteen that can close. That way you can fill it up towards the beginning of the day and kind of sip on it without worrying of it spilling. Also very necessary if you're going on the battlefield, because you know, it's probably not that fun to dehydrate before you even get to the enemy shield wall. Next is a heavy wool cloak. While this might not be something that you use every day or with every outfit, it's definitely essential to have because weather can be unpredictable. Having a heavy cloak that protects you from the rain, or when it gets super cold at night, because you know, some of us are camping in Canada. I have this Berkshire cloak, and while I haven't used it all that often, when I need it, I am so glad that I have it. Even if it's just to have an extra blanket during the night when I wake up and see that I can see my breath inside my tent. Trust me, it's a lifesaver. The next one I already briefly touched on, but that is good footwear. Whether you are walking all day at Renfair or for a week in Beekleen where everything is super spread out, if you choose to wear some boots because they look cool but they give you blisters at the beginning of the week, it's not worth it. Please, no. Protect your tootsies. You need to use those things. So it's important to find shoes that are comfortable and durable. For example, last year after a full week of walking around in these boots, during the final battle, the sole just ripped right off. But at least I can say that I left my heart and soul on that battlefield. And lastly is more of a general category than one item, but that is accessories. While these are maybe not as functional as the other essential items, they are so important for rounding out your kit. Finding a few accessories that you put on, you immediately feel more immersed, more like your character, is so great. For me, I have these medieval bracers that I got from ARTISANS de jour. Honestly, another one of those items that I wear with pretty much every medieval costume that I make. This one is actually perfect for just also wearing on my day-to-day to make me feel cooler. It can be hats, necklaces, chains, little dangly stuff. They are also great ways to kind of tell little hints of your character's backstory in your costuming. For me, I don't think I took off this coin necklace for the entirety of the LARP. Not only just because I like the way it looks, but also because it is a custom pendant that has symbols that represent my character. So I feel like it's something that would be really special to her that she would keep with her at all times. Alright, now let's actually get into some of the styling and the outfits that I wore for different events during the week. For a little bit of context, in case you are going to use this as reference for styling for your own LARP, make sure to consider the theming of the events that you are going to. If you are going to a game that is very much based in realistic historical medieval times, it's going to look very different than a game that is very high fantasy, high magic. The theming at Beekleen falls right directly in the middle of that, which I really like their theming of just medieval fantasy because that allows players to choose their preferred style in a very wide range. I saw people's costuming be more just basic peasants, or maybe whimsical fae, or very extravagant historical outfits as well. Also, don't forget that you are styling to the character that you want to play. Now for me at Beekleen, I play a character called Trix, which if you've seen my other Beekleen content or kind of paid attention in some of the B-roll I've been playing, there's one very iconic thing about Trix. And that is that she is a fox fae. And since now we are at the point where if you made it this far, you're probably here to stay, I think I can finally pull these bad boys out. There we go, much better. I will admit, these ears have been through it this Beekleen. I'm probably going to have to remake them. Alright, for my everyday outfits, originally when I was planning, I still was thinking of going pretty comfortable, pretty casual, with a lot of layering, having a nice variety for each day. But I briefly mentioned this before, but truly, the weather at this Beekleen, just simply whack. The first 2 days, it was so hot and so humid, which I know some of you are probably thinking, oh wow, how hot and humid could it be in Canada? Look, normally I'd be right there with you, but I was leaving from Florida, and when I got there, I was like, why does it still feel like Florida summer? And you know what we don't do in the summer in Florida? Dress up in medieval kits and camp outside for a week with no air conditioning. And then to top all of that off, in the middle of the week, it started to freeze at night. So everything would be hot and humid during the day and then cold and wet during the night. We only really had 1 day of perfect 65, 70 degree weather. And then it immediately went right back to freaking boiling. So while I did have more plans, in all honesty, I basically just stuck to whatever loose, sleeveless clothes that I had. Meaning I pretty much re-wore the fisherman pants and the tank top for the majority of the week. And then it was funny, one point earlier in the week, I was going to go play an NPC and I just wanted something pretty basic to wear. So I grabbed one of the scarves that I normally pretty much use as a wrap underneath my belt just to add some layers, and actually threw it around my neck and used it as a scarf, which doesn't sound that revolutionary, using a scarf as a scarf, but it really was a game changer for me. Something happened where I'm just yeah, Trix wears scarves now. But it actually ended up being like pretty practical too. Because they were super light, it didn't make me overheat. And if anything, it did like a really good job of like protecting the back of my neck from the sun. One day when I was walking around, I had a friend come up to me and go like, yo, I really like your style now. It is giving Milo from Journey to Atlantis though. Yeah, no, that checks out. At night when it actually did cool off enough to wear more than just like the bare minimum, that's when I would kind of pull out my more flowy shirts that sit like off the shoulder and pair it like with the corset or with the bodice. While I didn't get a chance to wear these items a lot, one outfit I did really like was mixing the Berkshire shirt with the leather bodice, because that was the day that I was going to go sell maps, and I just kind of felt like that was more of like an explorer outfit, maybe a little bit more scholarly, like someone who actually knows how to read a map. I thought that would probably work to my advantage if I was going to try and sell them to people. Now there are a few ceremonies and political meetings that is maybe a good opportunity for you to dress up a little bit more formal. The only event that I went to that maybe would have warranted this is the knighting ceremony, but that was still on one of the ridiculously hot days, so the holy clothing long vest is all that I could muster to even try and make it like slightly formal at all. But I was kind of hoping I would be able to wear like the bramblewood vest at that point, you know, a little bit more dressy than kind of I would normally do, but it was fine. Like, it wasn't like required to dress up for any of these things. It's just like a personal preference that a lot of people do. And then there's why I wore it to the battlefield, which was pretty much the same thing that I wore last year. My guild's tabard and my pauldron shoulder armor. Like, I did actually pack the leather armor that I made previously in the year with all the intention of wearing it to battle, but I noticed after taking it out of the suitcase that the spray paint that I used to make the leather look like metal was already very noticeably chipping. I thought I put enough sealant that it wouldn't do that. I didn't want to wear armor that had just like silver spray paint chipping off of it. So even though I brought along all this armor in the suitcase, I just decided to leave it alone. Which, you know, maybe was for the best. Leather armor would have been hot. While it is important to have a bunch of everyday outfits that make you look cool, it's also extremely important to have just some basic comfy outfits as well. This is for when you are just getting up in the morning and real quickly need to like run to the bathroom. Or for me, if I knew that it was like pretty much the end of my night and I probably wasn't going to be leaving my guild camp, I would normally just throw on like my loose shirt and pants just to like chill around the campfire for a little bit before like fully heading to bed. There is one outfit that I made that I really want to highlight because I absolutely loved it. Some friends of mine in another guild called the Leviathans planned a special event called Jester Night and invited everyone to come along and participate and dress up as jesters. And it was so cute to see like everyone in chat post like their progress and all their like ideas for their little jester costumes. Mine was like super last minute, like I was speed running it the night before I was supposed to leave. But I was able to make this cute little custom hood for Trix that I absolutely love, and I even like cut ear holes in there so I could like wear my ears while I was wearing the hood. And it was just like so fun, and I kind of wanted to show off my outfit. I did want to take a moment and give some advice to people who are either like upgrading their kit or maybe just trying to start one for the first time. First of which is remember that you don't need to get everything at once when you are just starting out. Like if you are going to your first LARP, please do not stress out too much about like wanting to have the most grandiose garb. A lot of the people with those more extravagant outfits are vets who have been building up their kits for several years. It's also better to pace yourself because you also don't know what you will like and what you won't like until you are like actually playing in the event. You might think that you're really going to enjoy being on the shield wall and buy like a ton of heavy armor, and then you actually get to your first battle and realize, nah, that's it for me. I want to be a skirmisher running around in the woods with like no armor. Better to see what you like first and then kind of expand on that instead of just like assuming and then ending up with like a bunch of armor that you may or may never use. My next advice for when you are building your character's kit is to think about what could maybe be a signature item or look for your character. Like, obviously for me, I'm Trix the Fox Fae. The ears are very noticeable. Even at night, you can just see the silhouette of them. People kind of immediately understand what my vibe is upon seeing me. Like, it doesn't have to be animal ears or prosthetics. Spend a little time thinking about what would be an iconic item for your character. Like, it could be a really cool hat. It could be a necklace that they always wear. It could just be a general style of clothes that they have. And my last piece of advice is just to try and find clothing that makes you feel immersed, like you are the character, and make you feel confident. Like when you're prepping and you're like constantly looking at like other inspiration, and you're like, oh, that person looks so cool, I want to look exactly like that. When you are like in the game and you're wearing your kit and you look down and you got like bracers and a tankard and a belt, it doesn't matter as much how you look as long as you feel cool in it. That's what matters. Like one of the reasons that I've tried to describe why I like Beacoline so much that kind of sounds weird is the fact that there are hardly any mirrors there, which I really like because it means that I can't like constantly perceive myself. Not to like sound sad or anything, but like it's just such a nice break. Because like when I'm trying my costumes on at home, I put it on, then immediately look in the mirror to be like, okay, does this actually look good? Does this actually look like this person who was wearing on Instagram? But at Beacoline, since there aren't any mirrors, I don't find myself doing that like at all. I just see that I'm wearing cool bracers and have a tankard and a sword on my hip, and I feel cool, I feel confident, I feel like I am Trix, I'm the character. I don't know if this is something that other people experience as well, or maybe if this is just because my job is literally to constantly record myself and then also edit and stare at myself for hours, so not being able to perceive myself is very nice for a week. Maybe there's something deeper there. I don't think we have time to unpack all of that. Well, anywho's, I hope that you found this video helpful. I definitely had a lot of fun just kind of like nerding out about my collection of LARP clothes. If you are interested in learning more about my adventures to Beacoline, I have a full video talking about my experience last year, and I'm currently working on the video for this year, so if you don't want to miss that, you can go ahead and click the bell button. I think that's the one I'm supposed to tell you to press in this moment. If you so happen to stumble upon this channel and made it to this point in the video, more than likely you would also like my other content, so maybe consider subscribing and checking out some of my other little nerdy videos. Thank you once again to my lovely Patreon members that help support me to go on these silly little adventures and make these silly little videos. And as always, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!